I'm never okay. Mina asked me if I was okay, and I said, I'm never okay. That's why I'm concentrating less on doing and more on being. But buenos dias. Good morning. And Mina, thank you for the introduction. Somehow I think you tricked me into revealing some things about myself. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much for the invitation. And above all, thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts on topics that have been important to me for a long, long time. So thank you. I see some very familiar faces, so I think it's safe to begin by saying that I think most of us in this room, if not all of us, want quality service. We want optimal social work. I would say all of us want that, wouldn't you say? And I think that as social workers, given our philosophical traditions of humanism, of altruism, of commitment to justice, we cannot have optimal social work without paying attention to just outcomes. And I don't mean like just any type of outcomes. I mean outcomes that are based on justice. And I think that if we want just outcomes, we can't imagine optimal social work not to be focusing on inequality and eliminating disparity. Not reducing it, but eliminating it. And I always say, shoot for the stars, maybe we'll catch one. Given that, if we're on the course that optimal social work includes eliminating disparities, we have to focus at cultural and linguistic differences. And why would that be? Well, essentially because it is individuals, their families and communities, and that includes rural communities, who are linguistically and culturally different. And they have experienced the brunt of inequality and the brunt of disparity. So it might sound like circular logic, but can you see why, if we're aiming for optimal social work, we cannot dismiss paying attention to cultural and linguistic differences? Would you agree on that?
Yes.
Now, most of us would agree on that. Where we disagree is, how do we achieve equity across the diversity spectrum? That's a little bit harder. And there's lots of arguments, and I'm not going to entertain them today, but I'm going to focus on the one. Practice wisdom has told us, as far as I can remember, and I've been a student of social work for many, many years. You can see how I look, so I've been around in social work for over 45 years, okay? But practice wisdom has told me that if we pay attention to culture, if we learn how to maneuver across cultures, if we learn to serve sincerely, if we learn to accept others as experts of their world and validate them, that we might achieve just and appropriate outcomes. And that used to be considered social work rhetoric for a long time and propaganda. I would hear it. But now there's a body of literature, small, but it's growing, and it says, yes, that does make a difference. And not only do we have that beginning research that's telling us, yeah, stay on course, but now we have laws that tell us it's not the nice thing to do, you have to do it. Okay? So I bid you today to pay attention to cultural and linguistic differences. Now, the current notion then is that cultural and linguistic competency and lots of humility might make that happen. And I have to tell you that in the field, humility is part of cultural and linguistic competency. In the research, there's some arguments and they treat it separately, but I believe that they go hand in hand. I don't think we can have a down-to-earth social work be able to do good work if he or she does not have knowledge or he or she does not have some skills, namely some facts and also communication skills. Now, and I wrote some things because I tend to be long-winded and I really want to keep it to 45 minutes. Today, my wish is quite simple. I want to encourage your interest in cultural linguistic competence, and I want to applaud and encourage whatever commitment you have to eliminate disparity. Okay, and know that they go hand in hand. That's my overall wish. My more minor wishes, which are aims, let me see if I got this right. Yeah, they're very simple aims. And let me just take a sip of water to prepare for that outing, right? Didn't mean to say get lots of water. We'll start right now. The aims are quite simple. They're elementary, but I think they're necessary when we're engaging in discussions of equality and cultural competence, and it encourages discussions in these types of conferences. So what I hope to do is go through some basic definitions on cultural competency, on what is culture, current thinking on culture. Let us define maybe cultural humility as it's being addressed in the literature, and then define humility in a more basic sense. And I want to do that to kind of excite you that you've been called la mystica, that magical thing that brought you into a profession that values humility. Okay? And then I'd like to go over a few competencies that I think help mitigate or prevent some cultural tensions and hence avoid some harm, and then go over maybe some challenges and opportunities that we have in advancing cultural and linguistic competencies and eliminating disparity. Does that sound like a little plan? Okay, so we're going to aim for that. But before I go any further, I want to introduce you to somebody. Let me see if I got this correct. This is Juan. And Juan, to me, is a person that represents